The goal of this podcast is to help you break in and thrive in advertising and
marketing.
Welcome back to our BrandSide segment where we're talking with the people that agency professionals report to. This is our BrandSide segment. Jack's here. We recorded this one combo episode back in the Content Cave before we leveled up to our studio here. So who are we interviewing today? Jack Westerkamp.
We got Sarah Adams. She's the head of partnerships and influencer marketing at
Wix, which is awesome. Great platform to build your website, your personal brand. Everybody should have their own website, especially you aspiring advertising professionals and aspiring marketers. So check out Wix.
If you're a creative or you work in an agency, I feel like you probably have a good amount of familiarity with like Wix or a competing website software, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to.
You have to. And with that, not only is where Sarah works important, but what she does equally important. She is one of the top voices on LinkedIn for influencer marketing. She puts out really good stuff there too, so I actually would highly recommend to go follow her. She just had a really good post about like what price for how much followers an influencer has and putting like the price next to it. So I think she's putting out really good stuff. But if you are staying up to times with advertising and marketing, you know how important it is to have your influencer crew made up and using influencer marketing to push your brand out. And she gave a ton of really, really good insights. So it's a really good episode.
Yeah. What's the creator economy valued at today, Jack?
It's $150 billion.
With a B.
With a B. I don't know how they ever come up with that number.
For economics.
It's like, I saw advertising was like a $3 trillion industry. This isn't a finance show.
But so this episode is good for the aspiring marketing professional, the aspiring advertising professional, mid-levels, senior levels, everybody that wants to understand influencer marketing. And maybe you might want to be your own little influencer, kind of like Jack's kind of getting up there on his TikTok. You should go follow him.
255 followers.
That's legit.
Nano influencer. And if you're like, I don't know, what's all this influencer stuff? I don't get it. It's a good intro into it because we ask a lot of really dumb questions.
Always, just for you. So thank you for listening, allowing us to level up to this studio. We know you're going to like what you hear. Take your time with it. It's good stuff. Come back to it later. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe. You know the deal, so we keep on rocking with you all. Keep on rocking in the free world.
Don't know that one.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, what do I usually say? This is the Breaking and Entering BrandSide podcast. And as usual, we're your accomplices, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey.
Thanks, Mikey.
Finding the right strategist or account talent shouldn't feel like an uphill battle. That's where no single individual comes in. No single individual specializes in delivering custom teams of strategists and account managers who integrate seamlessly into your workflow. With no single individual's team-based model, agencies gain the depth and collaboration they need while offering top talent and opportunity to work on meaningful projects. Whether you need pitch support, lead coverage, or additional resources, they're here to make great work happen. Ready to elevate your team? Visit nosingleindividual.com and discover why agencies of all sizes trust them time and time again. Hi, Sarah Adam. Welcome to the Breaking and Entering BrandSide segment of our series here with Breaking and Entering podcast. This is our first time recording an episode as a duo. I got my business partner, a lifelong friend, Jack Westerkamp here. Jack, say what's up.
What's up?
And we're joined by Sarah Adams. Sarah, you are the head of partnerships and influencer marketing at Wix. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be here, especially with the duo.
Yeah.
We're working on a name. We're working on a duo name, but we're getting somewhere.
Yep. Sarah, where are you calling in from?
I'm in Israel, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Gotcha. Is that where you live?
Yeah, and it's 10 p.m.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are you going to go to sleep after this recording, or are you going to be up all night because of the excitement?
No. I have like 60 emails in my inbox.
Okay.
So I may just tackle that before I go to bed.
There is nothing like just getting through some emails that
I
gets me to
know.
sleep.
I know.
Can't beat it, Sarah. That's amazing.
I wouldn't say going through 60 emails is an amazing thing, but hey, if that's what you love to do, go for it. um, but overview of this show, and we'll kind of piece this apart ourselves here, but really we're trying to understand who you are, uh, what you do on the brand side, diving into your role today, and then we kick it back and ask questions about how you broke into this business. Advice along the way, 10 pull moments. This advice portion can be for the aspiring marketer. This advice portion could be for the aspiring or for the current agency professionals out there as well. So we'll kick it off the top here. Jack, do you want to ask about her role today at Wix?
I'm going to do that right now. Sarah, so do you mind explaining kind of what your role is? How would you define it? Because obviously we can see, on LinkedIn, but always love hearing what your take on your role is currently at Wix.
Yeah. So what do I do at Wix? Yeah. So I have an amazing team. And what we have been doing for the past almost 3 years is working with influencers from all over the world, working with them on different partnerships to raise awareness of a product which is called Wix Studio, which is a product we launched just over a year ago, and it's Wix for agencies. So it is our best web creation platform yet. And it is essentially Wix's B2B solution. So my team and I, we focus on partnerships and influencer marketing. And I've been at Wix for almost 5 years now. Always had kind of different hats, however, always under the kind of partnerships umbrella, always within the marketing department. So partnerships is my thing.
Amazing.
And over the past 3 years, like I said, influencers, very strong focus. Yeah.
That's kind of wild. To have a role dedicated to influencer marketing, and it makes sense these days that it would be. Do you see that across the industry, that there are roles dedicated to being in charge of the influencer marketing for a business? What's kind of your view of the landscape? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting because, and I say this to creators that ask for tips on how to pitch to brands or how to even define which brands to pitch to. And I always say that if you see that the brands that you're looking at even have someone that their title, influencer marketing is what they do. So that's a huge sign that that is a brand, that values influencers, and clearly has enough budget to justify a headcount that takes care of that, of that niche, of that area, and has budget for it. So I think, I still think that it's not, from what I see, it's not a role that you find in every single brand. Obviously, we're not there yet. But I do come across more and more all the time. Many of the people I connect to on LinkedIn, that follow me on LinkedIn, I follow them, are like me, from the brand side of things, that take care of influencer marketing. But I think there's still so many brands out there that don't. So
Right.
there's still a way to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And a follow-up from that, how did you land into like that role? Was that something that you grew into, like you're at Wix and then this became a position that made sense to have someone lead? Or can you just talk about how that came to be? Because obviously influencers haven't been around forever. So I'm curious to hear about how that role developed.
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So roughly 3 years ago, one of the challenges that I had, that the team I was part of had at the time, was how do we promote Wix to web developers? Okay, because the Wix's perception, if at all, among web developers was very, very bad. there was a very big perception gap. Truth is that Wix does have a dev offering, a very good one, and you can code within Wix. You can build web applications within Wix. There's many things that web developers can do with Wix. And we were thinking of how to tackle this audience, knowing that this very big gap in perception existed. And one of the channels we were considering were influencers, and it's something that we'd never done before, at least with this audience. I think Wix had done some influencer marketing previously, but it wasn't, at least at the time, a big part of our marketing strategy. And I remember, I'll never forget it, which is funny how there's some things that you like remember to the very smallest detail. But I was walking in the corridor and my boss, who's our VP marketing, stopped me and he showed me his phone, and he's like a very Twitter, he's a Twitter guy, and he had been following for quite some time different web dev influencers. And he just stopped me and he's like, "Sarah, we need to be here." And he was just scrolling down his Twitter feed and was like, "You got to get us here. We need to be here." And that was my brief. We need to be there. I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I remember running over to the social media team, and there was someone who used to work with influencers at like a previous role and saying, "Hey, what's a Twitter influencer? How many followers do they have? Well, how do I do this?" And I remember she was like too busy for me, and she was just like, 20K followers. Okay, just go on Twitter, look up web dev, and anyone with 20K or above is relevant. And that's what I did. And I went to my computer. The first thing I did was open a Twitter account because I didn't have one. So I opened a Twitter account and I started to look at who my boss follows. I thought that's a good place to start. And then seeing what do these people tweet about? Who are they following? Who's following them? And then to understanding very quickly that there's actually this incredible web, this network, this community of very relevant people that we should somehow partner with. And I had no idea that you pay for a tweet. Like, I didn't know how this thing works. I didn't really call it influencer marketing at the time. It was just like, how do we get to Twitter? And then I started to do more and more research and defining who are the people that are relevant for us and reaching out to them and just asking, "Hey, how do you partner with brands? Like, what do you do? What can we do? How much will it cost? What does it look like?" And kind of slowly creating my own idea of how this works and benchmarks, and then of course starting to test different things, and seeing how, what works, what doesn't. Today, I know that advice that I got of 20K is bullshit because the truth is that there are amazing creators to work with that have 2K followers. So today we don't have such a benchmark.
Right.
So yeah.
That is wild. So I'm trying to think about it from like a brand perspective. It was the perception of Wix maybe at the time wasn't where you wanted it to be. And it felt like influencer marketing was something that could be a solve for that. Looking back now, after 3 and some change years, how has it gone? How do you feel like influencer marketing has played a role in the brand perception of Wix?
Yeah. So we have no doubt that it's helped us move the needle, that it's been a considerable, effort towards our brand awareness effort within the effort. It's like basically a big piece of our brand awareness puzzle. And it's become like from this like side channel that, was just a one-man show, which was me testing all these different things that you could do with influencers. It's with time, it kind of shifted, and it's become more and more significant within everything that we do. And today it feels like it's something that you couldn't take away from the strategy, from everything that we do. It's so central.
And talk about the strategy today. So you mentioned Wix Studio, which is
primarily targeted to agencies, you said?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So now
Agencies
you're
and
finding influencers that can speak to agencies or that demographic that you're targeting. Can you run us through
yeah.
that and how that's working?
Yeah. So we the way we work with influencers today is the way, I mean, it's the typical way that so many brands do, is where we partner with them. We're basically paying them to create content. And that content is to be posted on their own channels, right? So we're paying them both for their content creation abilities, sorry, and their distribution abilities. Now this is like the basic way to work with influencers today, but there's many other things, particularly in B2B, that are possible, and really it feels like possibilities are endless. So if a brand has a conference, they could be working with influencers to be speaking at the conference or to be teaching at the conference, right? Or if you have a webinar, if you want to produce an ebook or some sort of industry report, there's so many content collaborations that can be done with influencers, way beyond paying them to produce content.
Right. Understood. And I guess I was just like very curious about the strategy today. Like, what type of influencers are you looking for? Who are their communities? Who are they talking to?
Yeah, so we we look at influencers that that obviously target the same, that we share the same target audience. So in our case, in Wix Studios' case, it's agencies, freelancers, so people that spend their days building websites for customers.
Love it.
And there's obviously different roles. There's the web developer, the web designer, the agency owner, etc. So we kind of reach out to these different kind of sub niches and work with them according to the brief, according to the campaign that we have, the goals. So yes,
I love it.
It varies. Yeah.
And do you do anything like, head of partnerships and influencer marketing? So are there other traditional brand partnerships that you're looking out for? Is there a team sector within Wix that's looking for more traditional brand partnerships?
Yeah, so when it comes to brand partnerships, it could be things like like podcasts, partnerships, or like newsletters or conferences, events. So it really varies. I feel that that's kind of more traditional brand partnerships.
Do you feel like that it's shifting away as an industry? Like most brands are now shifting and investing more heavily into influencers rather than more traditional brand partnerships?
So look, I can't speak for the entire industry because I'm not sure, but I do think that with influencer marketing, it kind of introduces a different way of doing things, because sorry, it's like so much more dynamic and flexible, and it feels like there's I always say, with every wacky idea that a brand has, they're most likely going to find an influencer that's going to say yes. And the other way around. And the other way around, it just feels like that kind of being able to work directly with the content creator and not having to go around like a media company or some sort of official organization. There's so much more that can be done and tested. And I think many brands, I think as soon as you start to do that, you see the advantages and you just kind of want to try and do more. Totally. So I think it's only going to go and expand. Yeah.
Understood. I mean, we kind of saw it with the U.S. election, really. You see like the presidential candidates going on in these podcasts and like partnering with these influencers. We saw that was a big shift this year or this.
Yeah, just like the individual, like when you're working with or you're doing stuff with an individual person, like even in the podcast game, it's like you're shifting further and further away from being a fan of like a TV channel, and now you're like more of a fan of like a person.
Who are you a fan of?
Me personally?
Yeah, you like what is it, the Giggly Squad?
I love do you know the Giggly Squad, Sarah?
No.
Have you heard of these? Oh, they're great. They're these two girls.
They sold out the
these two girls that just are like lifestyle, that they're hilarious. I think they're the funniest people of all time. But yeah, things like that. It's like it feels so powerful, and maybe this is just because it's more new. But having an individual tell me about a product and seeing them use it feels more powerful for me as a consumer, like a business. Do you feel the same way?
Yes.
Yeah. And is that something you've seen as like a shift over the years, Sarah? Even in like the last 3 years, is that kind of a shift that you're seeing?
I think with, TikTok and Instagram, like being such a major part of how we consume content. And I mean, I think it's true, like for all of us. I mean, for me, recently we've been planning a family vacation. Okay, so it's all, we do everything on TikTok. All our searches, planning the entire itinerary, it's all from TikTok. And I think that's just how people consume and search for so much, for content today.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what would be your advice to a brand that maybe they feel like they're a little bit behind in the influencer marketing game, and maybe some lessons that you learned? Because you started from, the humble beginnings of a brief in a hallway. And I'm sure you've gone through so many different tests and theories and hypotheses, like all these things that you've learned. What's maybe some, I don't know, Kickstarters, some rocket boosters you would give to a brand that's looking to get deeper and deeper into influencer marketing?
So I guess it depends if the brand has, if it's totally new to them, if they've never done it before. So I would say that I think the best way to start, and I wish like I kind of thought of this when I started, is to kind of, do your research, define, say, 20 influencers that you feel are relevant for your niche, and just start talking to them. Like get on a call with them and kind of interview them and ask like, how do you work with brands? How do you like to work with brands? What works? What doesn't work? How much do you charge? And to also ask them for like examples, and to look at those examples of previous campaigns that they've done and how that performed, so that you could better plan your first campaign.
Right.
So I think
interesting.
That's very good tip. And I think for brands that are already doing it, or that have already done some, I would say always look at the long-term game. Like when you work with influencers, it's not just for one-offs. Like yes, you have to start somewhere, but always think of like the longer term, and how you can scale. Like how can you work with less influencers or more content?
Love it. I'm wondering, it's like, has there been any like singular thing that you've seen that has been a predictor that a relationship with an influencer is going to work or not going to work? Is there any trend that you've seen? Because you talk about like this interview process almost. Is there any insight there where it's like, okay, if this is kind of the direction they're going with this question, or if this is the stat that we're seeing, it might not work out?
So I think the thing that kind of I love the most, or like when influencers do, is when they suggest content angles to me, where they don't just wait for the brief, where they're saying, hey, you know what, I think this could work, that could work, where they're giving me their input, their creative input. It's always a very good sign for me. Yeah, I'd say look out for that.
Proactive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point there. So,
yeah, come to them with ideas. I feel like that's with anything, you can always tell when there's a really good relationship and partnership between an influencer and the brand that they're supporting, because it feels more like they are a user, they support the brand, it's a kind of a part of their work stream, so it feels more authentic, versus when it's like, okay, this doesn't really make sense, and you can tell that this is not even close to being related to the content that they put out organically. Like that's the worst, is when you see it and it sounds like it's all the ideas came from the brand side and there was minimal collaboration. It was very transactional. So I think anytime you can avoid that, and knowing what that when the ideas are coming from the influencer themselves, that's usually a pretty good sign that we might get some good content out of this one.
Yeah, and it shows that they did their homework.
Right.
you know,
Right.
tested the product. Yeah,
I love
for
it.
sure.
Well, I was gonna ask before we kick it back how you broke into all this. Just high level, what is it like working at Wix? Like as a company, is there an in-house agency that you guys use? Or is there external agency partners that you're using? What's the landscape look like? Do you enjoy it? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it very much. Yeah, Wix is a terrific place to work. I feel like the marketing department in particular is like wacky, but in a very good way. And we have a very strong in-house way of thinking. So we do not work with external agencies. Also, when it comes to influencer marketing, like we believe, like I said, in doing everything in house. And one thing that I think is very Wix marketing in our behavior, and it's something that I really appreciate and love, is to test constantly. So to always be trying new things, not being afraid to fail, and to know to learn from mistakes. You know, to stop it as soon as you're failing, to minimize damage, to learn, and then try again something new based on, and kind of remembering what you've learned from like previous mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's something that's very true to our department. It's kind of it's part of who we are and how we are, and I think especially with influencers, you need to be very open-minded, and to be open to taking risks and trying new things, especially because it's such an evolving industry. It's like reinventing itself all the time, and you kind of just need to go with that flow and understand that there's gonna be, you're gonna take risks and it won't work sometimes, and other times it will go viral. Sometimes it will flop, sometimes it will pop, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's like I am seeing like the parallels of the company ethos and the workplace and the culture and the product itself. Because I feel like as a web developer and you're working on a website, like we've worked on a website before, it's all about testing. Like you have to just see what it looks like before you can decide if it's good or not, or if it's going to work. So it's always cool to see when a workplace is defined similarly to the product that it puts out there, which I think that's cool. You like that one, Gino? Did you think of that?
I was thinking about the flop or pop. I was thinking that could be a good segment.
Flop or pop is a good segment.
Pop.
It's sponsored content, flop or pop kind of situation.
Yeah.
Sarah, door's always open if you'd like to have your own segment.
Boom. Sarah, I want to know how you broke into this business. At what point in your life did you say to yourself, I want to be in marketing or advertising for the rest of my life? What were you doing? Do you regret that decision?
I haven't said that yet.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I love how it's always whenever you ask the question, it's always you ask the question, you're like, did you hate that decision? Are you sure?
Do you regret it?
Because
sometimes I think about like accounting.
Do you hate working there?
Accounting that doesn't change.
Right.
Like there's one debits on the left,
credits on the right, or something like that.
I like that sometimes when I hear, we have to adapt all the time. Like sometimes I think about accounting. Like, that could have been a good route.
Well,
anyway,
the last thing I'll say though, Sarah, is fun fact about Gino is his dad told him he should be in accounting, and Gino thought he said like account manager. And then that's how he started learning about the advertising industry.
I was like, okay, I'll be an account manager at an agency.
You didn't go all the way through the Google search. You just cut it short.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that sounds good. I started watching Mad Men.
So speaking of, back to the original question.
Yeah, Sarah, what was going on in your head?
Yeah, so I actually started off in PR. And then not even sure why, but I did. And then I remember after not very long thinking, fuck this.
Same.
Same. The thing about PR is that your success is totally dependent on other people. is the reporter gonna pick up on your PR? What's the editor's mood that day?
And the
Did a
news
war
cycle
break
in the world, like you can't
exactly?
control what's
So
going on.
so I, as soon as I realized, I was like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm going to control my own success. Thank you very much. So I left PR, and then my first, other kind of serious marketing job was actually field marketing. So events, conferences, workshops, like within the brand. So organizing, being in charge of all the events. And what's interesting is that we, with the help of a very good sales team that we worked very closely with, we learned that the best events are actually co-marketing events. And this is where I kind of went into the world of partnerships. So back in the day, the way I started to partner with other brands was to host sales events together. So their sales team, our sales team would define, together the list of prospects, and they would help each other. And it was always like a huge success. The cost was very low. We'd get it off the ground very quickly. It was just terrific. And it did actually become, back in the day, the company I worked for, it did actually become our main event strategy. And then within that company, I moved to what we called partner marketing. So that started a new role where, I kind of established like a workflow of how should our brand work with other brands. And that's how I started to get into partnerships. And then I moved to a similar role within Wix. And then I bumped into our VP in the hallway. And that's how
Classic career path.
And then showed the Twitter. Got it.
And then Twitter came up, and the rest is history.
Got it. How'd you get the first job in PR? The very first one.
I can't remember.
That's awesome.
I did. I did study. I did a BA in communications, which specialized in PR. So I'm guessing it was through.
That's great. That's such a great lesson, though, for like someone who is so concerned. They're coming out of college, maybe they're stressed out about their first job being perfect. We get to a certain point in your career, you don't even remember how you got that. Do
you have a favorite interview question you ask, like all applicants that you love?
So I don't. I actually hate calling it an interview. So I try not to. I usually say, let's chat. Let's just chat.
I like that.
Let me tell you about the job. Let me tell you about the day-to-day. So I kind of try and keep it like as relaxed as possible, because otherwise it's just so stressful for both sides. It's like totally pointless. The whole setting is like, it's bad. So yeah, I usually just have like a casual conversation, and that's, for me, that's the interview.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool.
Nice.
I would love that. I wish I had a lot more of those.
I had to tell about a time that I led a project that didn't go well and what I learned from that.
What didn't go well?
What didn't go well? What could you have done better?
Yeah,
is that how you got into the rhythm of asking these kinds of questions, where you say,
I got peppered with tough questions.
Yeah.
Like,
that can happen.
The worst question is, what are your disadvantages? So,
yeah. Because nobody gives a real answer. Like I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
It's similar to what are your salary expectations? I feel that whatever you say, it's good. It's just that there's no good answer to that.
What would you say in that situation? If someone asks you what your salary expectation, or do you just pin it back to them? I've heard that strategy before.
Yeah, I think one thing, usually, I think it also depends when that question is asked, because sometimes it's asked right at the beginning of the process, and it's just unfair because the candidate knows nothing about the role. So how can you put a price tag on something you know nothing about? So I think that's probably one way to tackle it.
Yeah, I always defer to the very end. Make yourself like the best candidate, like vibe with them, get to the
Yeah.
final round, and then we'll talk about it. Like, let's just get to know each other first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious. I have a question because you have the field marketing experience. I'm wondering if there are things that you learn from being like so boots on the ground marketing that you're still applying to this day. So something like a junior role like that where you're very close to the customer, events, you're in person. Are there any things, is there anything you learned in that more junior role that you're still applying to this day in your role as head of influencer marketing?
Yeah, I think, look, when you're a field marketeer, you need to be extremely organized. There's like so many balls in the air at one time. So you need to be very, very organized with everything that you do. That's one thing, which I think is true for many, many, many positions, and definitely what I do today with influencers. Because when you're working with so many at the same time or different campaigns at the same time, it's very, very easy to drop the ball and to miss something. So I'd say that's one thing. I think another thing, and this is true, I think for any position where you're working with multiple stakeholders, is just the ability to, just to how to manage relationships, business relationships, how to keep things, not to burn bridges, to keep things polite and nice and fun, and kind of so that you're keeping options and doors open for the future. I think that's something that's very relevant also today in what I do today.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be so stressful, like in the event, and you still, like you said, you have to put on the nice, polite face, and knowing that just because something might not be going your way in the work or what you're doing and what's going on behind the scenes, you still have to show up for your client, and you still have to show up and, bring a positive attitude. I think that's such a like superpower
Yeah.
that some people are able to really, it's not really like you're shoving the emotions away. It's more like you're just bringing a positive attitude to a client or to whoever you're working with.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else, Gino?
No, but I'm curious, how can people reach out to you if they want to say hello? A lot of our listeners, aspiring marketers, or maybe current agency professionals or current marketers, if they have questions, want to learn more about Wix Studios, what's the best way for them to do some homework?
So I'm most kind of available and active on LinkedIn. So I pretty much connect to anyone who wants to connect with me. So just send me a connect
That
request.
sounds good.
DM me. My email's in the contact info. You can send me an email. So yeah, always happy to connect, talk to people. You got questions, let me know.
Amazing. Well, best of luck. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will continue to watch for the Wix success.
The Wixess.
It's a Wixess. High five, Jack.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you,
Of
Sarah.
course. Thank you.
It did that last time.
It did it last time?
It did it last time
Oh,
too.
we'll cut it later.
So it's still gonna say it's recording, Sarah, but we promise we'll stop it
Okay.
at a normal time. Thanks so much.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun. I was a bit choky at the beginning, sorry, but it calmed down.
All is good.
Oh,
All
I
is good.
didn't even notice. You're all good. That'd be good content.
Good.
Is there anything that you said that you want us to take out? I didn't note anything in my PR background.
No, I don't think so.
Very cool.
It was good. It was fun. When
Yeah,
do you think
that
it's
was.
going live?
What'd you say? Sorry.
When will it go live? No difference to me.
Okay. We'll keep you updated on that. We have a lot of content, like 2 to 3 episodes a week. So we're trying to fly through.
Amazing.
We're doing this full time.
Yeah. So probably within the next 1 to 2 months it would go live. And I'll give you a heads up too when we're the week that we're gonna release it, so that you're aware. And but yeah,
we just need a headshot beforehand. So whenever you have time, whenever it's not 10 p.m. at night and you have to go through 60 emails, if you haven't sent it already, we would love that. Or we can pull from your LinkedIn.
No, my LinkedIn one's too fuzzy. Here, I'll send you it now while I'm thinking of it.
Wonderful.
Okay,
You can
cool.
send it to Jack or the email.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I'd love to stay in touch. I've heard great things about Wix, so I think it's awesome.
Cool.
What
Yeah,
you're doing.
happy to.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We talk to agency professionals and marketing professionals all the time. So we can definitely get it out there if interested.
Cool. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so we'll stay in touch for sure. But this was great. I mean, this is like such a kind of buzzy thing right now, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. Both our marketing audience and our agency side audience. I think
Nice.
I think it's gonna be great. So we're excited.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a great night. See ya.
Bye.